In the heart of Beijing, within the Grand Palace of Jinxiong, preparations were underway. The reincarnation ritual was almost complete. Eunuch Li Chaosu, the power behind the throne, stood in silence as he awaited confirmation. "Proceed with the ritual, General Li Chaosu," a voice commanded, though his reputation as the most hated villain in history preceded him. Li Chaosu, the true manipulator of the Ming Empire's politics, moved to carry out the order. It was thanks to his efforts that the third princess, insignificant in the emperor's eyes, had risen in power. Her transformation was key to his plans, and now the stage was set for the next move. "They say I can make even birds fall from the sky," Li Chaosu muttered to himself with a dark smile. "But there's one thing I cannot do: have a good time in bed." Suddenly, a loud voice broke through his thoughts. "You old fool!" It was the Empress Yuan Hua storming into the chamber. "Why are you trying to leave this world, old man? Cease this mysterious ritual at once." Li Chaosu merely glanced at her, unmoved by her rage. "Is the union of yin and yang so important to you?" he asked, his voice laced with sarcasm. "Tell me, what exactly am I lacking? If it's wealth, I will give you as much as you want. If it's power, I will grant it. Please, old man, stop the ritual." The protagonist had already made up their mind. "Your Majesty, I have already made my decision. Please forgive my disloyalty for leaving you to that end." After being hit by a truck while crossing the street, he ended up reincarnating in the martial world of Feng Yuan for 12 years. Dying at the young age of 22 and getting kidnapped by a slave trafficker was bearable. But not just any trafficker, a trafficker who castrated men and sold them as eunuchs. He had done everything possible to restore their manhood, even managing to make the third princess an empress just to meet a renowned physician. From their previous life up to now, he had been a virgin for over 50 years. "Why am I so obsessed with sex?" they wondered. But it was a crucial matter for them, one that others wouldn't understand. He had mastered martial arts and reached the pinnacle of power, a state of rebirth among the greatest martial artists. His skills were unmatched, and he had become the most stunning and revered figure in the land. Yet, despite his achievements, something still gnawed at him. Satisfaction remained elusive. Even after ascending to the imperial palace, the feeling of failure weighed heavily on him. What good was power if noble intentions were lost along the way? The cycle of life and rebirth seemed endless. He would be born again and again. But the things that truly mattered remained out of reach, impossible to reclaim. "What is the point of having money or martial prowess," he wondered, "if I cannot even feel? I am still nothing more than a eunuch. That's why I've decided, when I reincarnate, it will be in a new body. This time, I will experience a life of pleasure." Even as the years passed, the Empress still threw tantrums like a spoiled child. He saw her not as a figure of authority, but as someone with whom he had shared a long, difficult journey since childhood. Perhaps that was why he saw the Empress more as a younger sibling than as the ruler of the empire. "Honestly, I gave in when she was crying earlier. But what's wrong with me? She doesn't feel like a woman to me, more like family." The imperial reincarnation ritual. Out of 100 people, 99 will die. "Are you sure you want to proceed?" He says, "Honestly, living like this, it's better to die." He have already enjoyed everything. Hello have spent all the money he could spend. If he can be reborn, he'll do whatever it takes. "Where am I?" he thought, slowly regaining consciousness. "Are you awake? I'm glad you're safe." "I found you collapsed near the pass," he continued. "Li Chaosu thinks, the one who castrated him 50 years ago and sold him to the imperial palace. Wang Sam, it's him. He heard he died after being stabbed by bandits, but he's alive." Wait, could this be a regression instead of reincarnation? The man wondered, his thoughts racing. He thought he will come back in someone else's body when reincarnating. "My manhood." Wang Sam said, "The little one, are you hurt anywhere?" He smiled softly, shaking his head, and said, "No, but my wrist hurt like I bumped into something. It feels sore. Could you take a look?" He examined it carefully and says, "I happen to have good herbs at home. Would you like to follow me?" With a smirk, he replied, "So you can kidnap me, tie me up, cut off my manhood, and sell me again as a eunuch." Wang Sam was shocked and asked how did he know. He paused, his voice growing cold. Do you know that I reversed all the martial arts techniques I mastered in my previous life? I still remember every single one of them. The skills, the pain. They've never left me. Lee Cheolsu says, "When I heard you were killed by a stab wound while they searched for you, I wondered how you must have felt. Do you even know what regret feels like?" His voice turned harsh. "Die, die, you filthy trafficker. You ruined a perfectly healthy man. You turned him into a cripple for the rest of his life, you damn bastard." His face hardened. "It took me 50 years to get to this point because I was castrated. Even with all the power and wealth I had, none of it meant anything. I couldn't enjoy any of it. But now he is different from before. Whether it's reincarnation or regression, it doesn't matter anymore. From now on, he will live for himself. His life begins anew." The second eunuch regains his manhood. A cold wind swept over the icy peaks of Gamsuk province as Lee Cheol-su climbed the treacherous slopes of the Joint Mountain. His breath was visible in the frigid air, and his body shivered uncontrollably. It was freezing to death, he thought, yet his determination pushed him onward. His heart was set on revenge against Wang Sam, but the road was long, and the pain of this climb was excruciating. Still, Lee Cheol-su welcomed it. For years he had longed for this agonizing journey. Despite the exhaustion creeping into his bones, he wondered, was there a world as profound as the pleasures of life? Could there be more beyond physical satisfaction, beyond earning coins for mere indulgence? Lee Cheol-su had rejected such fleeting gratifications, refusing to waste himself on them. His mind was set on something higher, a union of physical and mental pleasures that only true love could provide. But to attain that, he knew he needed power. Wealth, fame, strength. These would be his tools in pursuing his ultimate form of indulgence. He had once prepared everything, treasures and martial manuals, all in case he would ever reincarnate, but fate had taken a different turn. He had regressed, and now all his prior preparations seemed irrelevant. As a former head of his family's intelligence agency, Lee Cheol-su could almost predict the future. His classmates and Seo Chang, they would surely see the rise of a hero soon enough. He would make sure of it. As he climbed, he felt his martial arts improving. His knowledge of future events would give him an unparalleled advantage in the martial world. He would create a storm, the likes of which had never been seen before. Becoming a respected hero seemed like it wasn't far off now. Lee Cheol-su reached a higher point on the mountain, his legs aching with the effort. The habit of laughing from his days as a eunuch threatened to rise in him again. No, he thought, that part of me must change. His final act would take place soon within the joint clan, and for that he needed to shed his old habits. Suddenly, a voice pierced the quiet snowfall. "Are you there?" It was a youthful voice. A child. No, that was impossible. No one else would be climbing the joint mountain in the dead of winter. Lee Cheol-su tensed, eyes scanning the surroundings. "I, Lee Cheol-su, have lost my parents to bandits. I have only ever dreamed of becoming stronger. Please accept me as your disciple, as a disciple of the joint clan." The plea hung in the cold air, and Lee Cheol-su's heart hardened. The joint clan, an organization with deep roots in Taoist teachings, combining the martial arts of Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. Their warriors stood against the dark forces of the Jianghu, unyielding even in the face of certain death. Strength and toughness were their trademarks. Climbing the joint mountain alone in winter, do you not value your life? If I can enter the joint clan, nothing else matters. The stranger's words resonated with Lee Cheol-su. He understood this desperation, this desire for power at any cost. He, too, had once risked everything, but now he needed more. "Show me your hands and arms," he demanded. The stranger hesitated but obeyed. Lee Cheol-su could sense the energy flowing through the boy's body. His natural circulation was pushing out impurities. Had he used the grounding technique to survive the climb? Lee Cheol-su stood before John Young, leader of the Gongdong Sect. His heart pounded as John Young scrutinized him. The leader's gaze was sharp, as though he could see right through him. "The grounding technique you used, it's impressive. It lays the foundation for cultivating energy and strengthening the dantian." Clearly, you're no stranger to martial arts. Did your parents teach you? Yes, that's right, he replied confidently. I learned it to enhance my stamina. When practiced over time, it can work wonders. John Young nodded, satisfied with the answer. Very well. Normally, our sect requires several processes for initiation. However, given your talent, I will allow you entry directly. Li Cheol-su's eyes glimmered. His plan was falling into place. The Gongdong sect was on the brink of collapse, but that worked to his advantage. Let's not get too comfortable, though. The Gongdong sect may once have held the first seat among the 9 great sects, but we've suffered greatly. A devastating blow during the Dark Martial Arts War 50 years ago left us nearly destroyed. Li Cheol-su glanced around at the crumbling remains of the sect's buildings. The devastation was evident, but this decay presented him with the perfect opportunity to rise quickly through the ranks. But, John Young continued, before we discuss the rules, there's someone you should meet. John Young gestured to the side, and a figure emerged from the shadows. This is Yu Jin Hui, our sect's current main disciple and your senior. Li Cheol-su eyed the figure closely. Yu Jin Hui was renowned as the Sword Saint, an individual with unmatched skill, but Li Cheol-su's ambition ran deep. The more chaotic this sect becomes, the easier it will be to overtake them, he thought. From today, this is your fellow disciple, Li Cheol-su. Yu Jin Hui smiled at him, though it was a calm, calculating smile. Ugh, what a storm, she said, brushing the snow from her cloak. This person, why are you so good-looking? Li Cheol-su blinked, caught off guard. Was this a compliment or mockery? Regardless, he kept his composure. Nice to meet you, fellow disciple. He thought back to his previous life, remembering a time when such interactions had felt distant and pointless. He had never cared for the social rivalries, the contests among martial women. Mere nonsense, he had called them. If this continues, my future... No, I can't allow distractions. Yu Jin Hui noticed the tension in his expression. You don't look well. Are you sick? No, I'm fine, he answered quickly. That's a relief. No need to be so formal. Let's get along like brothers from now on. Li Cheol-su felt a slight pang of guilt, but he reminded himself of his mission. He couldn't afford distractions now, not even from a friendly face. Yu Jin Hui turned, gesturing for him to follow. There are so many places I want to show you. Come. Suddenly, Li Cheol-su felt a strong grip on his arm. Stop, don't touch me, he snapped, pulling away. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. This is my first time having a disciple, and I got too excited. Li Cheol-su took a deep breath. I had overreacted. No, it's fine. I'm the one who overreacted. I apologize. He knew he needed to stay calm. He couldn't afford to create tension within the sect. Building relationships, especially with someone like Yu Jin Hui, could be crucial for his future. The winds of change are blowing, but the winter of this sect may soon be coming to an end. John Young's thoughts. I hope Cheol-su and Jin Hui become friends soon, John Young mused silently. It was around this time, 10 years ago, when I picked up Jin Hui, an orphan. John Young's mind wandered back to the day he found Jin Hui, a young and starving child with a piercing gaze. After discovering Jin Hui's genius, I have nurtured him in every way until now. He's the only hope for rebuilding the joint sect. John Young had placed all his hopes on Jin Hui, but there was one detail that complicated things. Jin Hui was not who everyone thought he was. Jin Hui will need to venture into the martial world, frequently clashing with men. Through these interactions, especially with peers like Cheol-su, he will learn the ways of the world. But more importantly, John Young sighed deeply, knowing that the burden Jin Hui carried was far greater than that of an ordinary disciple. He needs to learn how to be careful, not to reveal his disguise as a woman. The secret weighed heavily on John Young. Jin Hui's identity as a woman, concealed for survival and ambition, could shatter the fragile balance they were trying to maintain in the crumbling Gongdong sect. I, Cheol-su, tomorrow marks the monumental day of my first day as a disciple of the joint sect. Yet I have already been tossing and turning for 2 hours. This is because of that bastard Jin Hui. Half a day ago, I looked forward to working with you, senior. I'm sorry for startling you so many times, Junior said, apologizing. The once glorious grounds are now in shambles, but I still wanted to introduce you to this place. Even after the horrific massacre 50 years ago, the Hyunshin Palace, where the headmaster resides, and the Cheongwoon Hall, where the disciples live, are still standing. The joint sect isn't dead yet. I wanted to share the meaning with you too. 50 years ago, the war of righteousness and demons began with the annihilation of the joint sect. Back then, no one expected the demon sect to bypass the Kunlun sect and strike first at the joint sect, the strongest among them. It's not hard to understand Jin Hui's desire to share the history of this place. I can see where he's coming from, Junior explained. I understand. But please don't approach me suddenly like you did earlier. I'm a bit shy. Oh no, he visibly shrank back. It wouldn't be good to push any further here. Mistakes can happen to anyone, so there's no need to feel disheartened. If it's the history of the joint sect told by you, I'd love to hear it, Junior added. Up to this point, things were going well. Calming a fiery boy like that required only one thing, a statement that would make him want to listen. Then, shall we go? I didn't realize Jin Hui would suddenly throw an arm around my shoulders. Oh no, I did it without thinking. I'm sorry, disciple. I almost lost my 50 years of chastity in an instant, Junior thought, horrified. Who is Jin Hui? He is the prodigy born from the joint sect, a genius among geniuses. Even if women who want him stir up chaos in the martial world, he's the kind of guy who rebuilt the joint sect without batting an eye. How can it be that he has abilities, character, and looks all combined, and yet he treats women like stones? Junior wondered. People say that he values martial skills over women, but now that I've faced him directly, I understand. Jin Hui is definitely gay. I've seen him, even during his eunuch days. They said he was castrated, but he still has the back part left, and is pioneering a new path for sexual desire. But I'm not gay, Junior thought in denial. How did you get this thing? Damn it, I'm starting to want to use this. For some reason, my little buddy looks gloomy today. Kegel exercises are not enough. Is it time for Jelking exercises? Jin Hui sighed. I'm sorry, but I'm destined to be a stamina king. I won't give you an ass to use. It's frustrating. Why am I like this? I have committed 2 rudenesses to a newly arrived disciple today. I'm just so happy to have a new family that I get a little too excited, even if I can't set a good example. If you tell me the history of the joint sect, I'd love to listen too, Junior requested. You must have been surprised and troubled, yet you tried to say nice things while considering my feelings. I want to get closer to Chelsea. Is this what it feels like to have a brother? Next time, I hope we can get close enough to embrace each other freely. The next morning, the cleaning is done. Ugh, he expected it, but it's really painfully poor. The kitchen is in such a state that it could collapse at any moment. He wonders what he's doing there right now. But to become a hero of the martial world and make a name for himself, he needs to make a good impression on the master and senior. Since it's come to this, even the time spent scrubbing a single grain of rice or vegetable will be used to the best of his ability. Today is also a day to salute the master of obstetrics, Arnold Kegel Sr. Bam! Junior was in the kitchen. Junior, what are you doing here right now? Ah, did you arrive, Senior? Junior asked, startled. Did you really prepare everything for breakfast by yourself? I came just in case. Yes, I did. The youngest should be the one to find and do these things. Seriously, I've never seen anyone as quick and capable as you, Ho. Commendable, Senior praised. Yes, yes. Wow, he looks good even in this situation. Damn, he's really handsome. If I looked even half as good as him, I wouldn't be suffering like this, thought Junior. After losing my parents, I guess I grew up quickly due to hardships. I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable by acting alone, Junior said. No, I wasn't trying to be sarcastic. I'm also an orphan like you. I just felt a sense of camaraderie. I meant that I think your maturity is good, Senior reassured. Why has this guy been apologizing so much since yesterday? Is he planning to advertise himself as a pushover? Yes. Yes. I will help you even now. I have some experience preparing vegetables, Senior offered. Huh? Originally, this was my job. What kind of senior makes their younger siblings suffer for no reason? This guy is really attached to his sister. After all, the legendary Yujin Hui originally had sisters, not a brother, Junior thought. The protagonist reflects on the beauty that, in the future, will be called the best in the world. However, the appearance of this figure remains distant, and for now, Yujin Hui is their only peer. Senior, if you are going to help, please supervise me. I will go fetch some fresh water to wash the vegetables. Got it. I absolutely don't want to get close to Yujin Hui. What I want is only the name of the senior who will become famous in the distant future. I will seduce every woman who can be seduced by his name and make them deeply infatuated with my charm through repeated conquests. Junior, that's dangerous. Ugh, are you okay? Yes. How beautiful is this rosy future? You are lighter than you look. Don't I have to keep my butt safe?